it's very inspiring to see how on the surface we may be different, but inside, when you get one layer deeper, New York, Toronto, California, well, California, they're always different, but New York, Toronto, Florida, no matter where you are, up and down, is really, at the end of the day, you go one layer beneath the surface and we're the same. And I believe we're the same because we want the same thing. We want to be great. We want a great life. We want, more than anything, to look back at the end of our lives, whenever that comes, and in our core, whether they tell us or not, whether they honor us or not, whether there's a plaque on a wall or a letter after our name, we want to look back and go, my life was great. Ups and downs, ins and outs. I am mediocre doesn't go off my tongue because I know when I say it, it's not true. And as parents, we know the worst thing a kid can tell us is, you don't get me. I'm just not good at math. I tried it 3 times for 2 minutes each. I'm just not math. Or I'm not popular. The kids, I'm never going to have friends. And as a parent, you want to laser beam into them. You have no idea who you are. You don't even know what you're capable of. Trust me. And they're like, what do you know? I'm 15. I know everything in the world. What can you possibly know? I had to get around an iPhone more than you do. That means I have more information. And you're staring at them and you're going, please, trust me. You don't know what you got. And the question for the few minutes we have today is how. And for those who came Friday night, we had a great event. We spoke about inspiration. I want to speak about something a little different. But what is it that brings out our greatness? How? What's the path? What's the sequence? What's the formula? So God wastes no time. One of the mistakes we make is that we think the Bible is a history book. It is not. It's not even a religion book. What it really is a lesson book. It is a book that is filled to the gills with lessons of greatness, and every story and every moment is another way for God to teach us that I know you think it's like this, but trust me. Look at this story, and if you see the lesson of the story, you're going to find something that you didn't know happened, but this is how it really works. And he wastes no time by teaching us the first fundamental lesson of greatness. Remember the first story? Adam and Eve. Garden of Eden, gorgeous garden, and God, like the first Jewish grandmother, puts Adam and goes, eat whatever you want. Don't work. Why should you? I'm the grandma. Eat. The more you eat, the better it is. And Adam sits around, and like the first Jewish mother, he's alive for 3 minutes, and God comes down and goes, and maybe you should find a wife. I'm not getting any younger, Where do you think we get this stuff from? Grandkids wouldn't kill you either, by the way. And like the first Jewish mother-in-law, shocker, there was no woman good enough for his son. She doesn't exist. So like every other Jewish mother, as they all want, he fashions a wife out of his son. What could be better for his as a daughter-in-law? And the story opens up, Adam, Eve, apples. And God says, here's the deal. It's all yours. Eat until your heart's content. Do me a favor. One tree, don't eat. Remember the story? Right? Snake, Eve, Adam. God comes down and goes, you did what? 2 of you, out of here. Ejected from the game. I've got 2 questions. Number 1, since when is Judaism a one-strike policy religion? All we do is say, I'm sorry. Isn't that our life? You know what I'm saying? It's for the rest of the world, New Year's is like margaritas. For us, New Year's is 30 days, I'm sorry, followed by 2 big days where they go, say you're sorry. Then 10 more days of make sure you say you're sorry. Then we culminate with a fast. 25 hours, we're literally at the point of fainting. And the rabbi goes, whoa, wait a second. Yes, rabbi, before you faint, say you're sorry. All we do, the guilt, our life is just one big sense of guilt where our whole life is saying, I'm sorry. One strike, God shows up and pops it out of the game. What happened to the whole I'm sorry? Number 2, if God's got a problem with apples, I have an idea. Don't put it in the garden. I've got kids. I don't want them eating non-kosher candy. Here's what I'm not going to do. Go out to the store, buy the candy, put it in the living room, and the kids come down from downstairs and I go, oh, yeah, you're eating the candy? 2 of you. Good luck. Go. Maybe your grandma will take you. I got a funny story about kosher candy. There was it's a funny story. There was a lady in Lakewood. Lakewood, New Jersey is a very religious area. The lady in Lakewood sitting online, and in front of her was an African-American woman. And she was online, and you know how supermarkets work. They're brilliant. They box you in at the end, and they put all the candy when your wallet's out, and you get nowhere to go. You know what I'm saying? Great, brilliant. So she's sitting online like every other parent in the world, and in front of her, her son is taking candy. And she's going, Leroy, put the candy down. Kid's not listening. She goes, Leroy, put the candy down. Kid's not listening. She goes, Leroy, put the candy down. Kid doesn't listen. She goes, Leroy, it's not kosher. Kid put the candy down. Behind her was a religious woman. She followed her out of the store. She goes, excuse me, are you Jewish? She says, no. She goes, but I just heard you tell your son, put the candy down. It's not kosher. She goes, no, I've been shopping in the supermarket for 20 years. I see you people. You people have kids. They don't listen to you. You say it's not kosher, and they listen to you. I figure I'd try it on my own kids. Talk about Jewish contribution to civilization. Understand something. God's got a problem with apples. Don't put it in the garden. What is going on? So what is God trying to teach us? What did Adam do wrong? So if you look into the story very closely, you'll find the following. When God comes down and asks Adam what he did, God shows up and goes, what did you do? And Adam does the one thing that no man should ever do for the rest of humanity. He says, her. He blames his wife. And God, being from Brooklyn, goes, oh, no, you didn't. Why was Adam kicked out of the garden? And so the commentators look at this, and they're puzzled with the same questions, and they answer in the following way. Adam was not taken out of the garden because he ate the apples. In fact, we know that saying I'm sorry and repentance is at the fabric of everything that we believe to be true. The sin that Adam did wasn't that he ate apples. The sin was so much more fundamental. Each and every one of us is created in a very unique way. When God created the world, first he created angels, but they all kissed up. That's not fun. Then he created animals, but no one listens. That's not fun. And he did something that was so amazing that literally is shocking if you think about it. And at the core of Jewish philosophy is the way we were created in an extremely shocking way. God created the world, and he took basically an animal, and he raised that animal up on 2 feet. And what he did to make Adam unique was he took a piece of himself, of the divine. The world is spirituality. God's not up there on some mountaintop or some big chair. The world that we believe in is a world that is filled to the gills with spirituality, and the all spiritual, the all-knowing, the all-powerful took literally a piece of himself and stuck it inside him. And each and every one of us, and I speak to people all the time, I'm this religious, I'm that religious, I'm this connected, that connected, that's all nonsense. What the truth is, what we have inside us is so much more than we can ever experience in spirituality. Each and every one of us, if our eyes are open, we are built, part of our DNA and our makeup is godliness. God is not up there. Somehow, along the way, he became someone that's up there. We pray up there, we look up there. There is no up there. You know where God is? He's in here. It's how we're built. The godliness is who we are. If our eyes are open, what fills us to the gills, our energy in our veins, is the divine. And God put man down on the garden and said, here's the deal. I got the heavens. You got the earth. You are my man on the ground. You are my woman on the ground. You are built with my DNA. You have the way you talk like your dad. You walk like your mom. You are one of me. And your job is to be the head and the master and lift up this world. Make it different. Make it filled with me. Help. Change. Don't leave it the way you found it. But remember, you are like me. And here's what I'm not going to do, God says. I am not putting you in a crib. Because I don't live in a crib. I choose good and evil, and so do you. So I'm putting the apples in the middle of the garden. Because for you to be like me, you have to have the choices that I have. I want you to look at a world where you can choose good and evil. You can choose right from wrong. I am creating a circumstance in which you can be like me. And guess what's going to happen? You're going to fail, and you're going to fail, and you're going to fail some more. And that's okay. Because from now on, you're going to say, I'm sorry. Trust me, you haven't met your mother yet. You're going to say, I'm sorry. But there's one thing that I can't handle, God says. There's one thing that drives me insane. There's one thing that no matter what happens, it bothers me not because I'm upset. It's because it shows me that you don't know who you are. That when you fail, your response is not my fault. Not my responsibility. It's not me. You know, in the sense of things, it's not me. Really, it's not me. It's my mom, it's my dad, it's my background, it's my husband, it's my wife. I totally would, but I can't. It's my environment, it's the economy, it's Congress, it's this, it's America, it's New York. It's too much. I can't. My parents are like this, my parents are like that. I come from this, that. You don't know. I came from a world where I didn't know anything. I came from a world where I know too much. When I grew up, I had too much money. When I grew up, I didn't have any money. When I grew up, my parents were really good to me. When I grew up, I didn't even know my parents. It's not me. It's not me. I can't. You don't know me. I can't. Really? I can't. It sounds great, Charlie. You're up here. It's wonderful. You come from New York. You think you know me. You don't know me. It's not me. I can't. I really can't. You don't know me. It's really not my fault. In this case, in this situation in my life, it's not me. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. That's not my fault. You ever be on the phone and call someone like you call the telephone operator because you need something. You're like, hi, can I get help? She's like, sure. You're like, this and this and this is wrong. She's like, that's so terrible. You're like, yeah. Can you help me? She's like, that's so terrible. You're like, yeah. Can you help me? She's like, that's so terrible. You're like, yeah. Just get me to somebody on the chain that can actually help me. Get me to your manager. And God says, here's the deal. I made you the manager. And every time, in every area of your life, that when you fail, you go, not my fault, that means somebody else is the manager. And that means you don't know who you are. That's the kid looking at mom and dad and saying, you don't know me, I can't do math. And the parent is saying, oh my, you don't even know what you can do. You don't even know what's inside you. The beginning, the first step to true greatness is one decision. On me. I got this. My responsibility. It's my life. It's my responsibility. I'm not responsible for you, but I'm responsible for how I react to you. I got it. It's not you. It's me. It's not that Seinfeld routine. It's not you. It's me. You know what I'm saying? I invented it's not you and me. It's me. Just for the Seinfeld reference. You got to reference Seinfeld. If it pops into your head, that's the rule. And each and every one of us, and by the way, if you look at our lives in the areas that we're failing the most, and if you look in our lives in the areas that we make all the resolutions that we never keep, and if you look in our lives in the area that we want to be better, if you go close enough, what you'll find usually, there's someone in that area that we are blaming. It's not fully me. And God goes, here's how it works. That we think we live our lives in a way in which we get ability. That's not true. In truth, the way it works is that we don't have ability that leads to responsibility. We think the way the world works is that those that have ability take responsibility. If you have money, you share it. If you have brains, you share it. If you have charisma, you lead. We think those that have the ability have then the obligation to take the responsibility for others. My wife is always the more spiritual one. My husband always is the more charismatic one. He's a leader. I'm really not the leader. He has this, she has that. We think the way the world is supposed to work is that those that have the ability take responsibility. And God says that's not how it works. The way it really works is that those that take responsibility find the ability. And we've all been there before because every single one of us had this moment. If you have kids, you've had this moment. The moment you take the kids home from the hospital, you know that moment? Your whole world changed when they give you that kid for the first time. And you're like, on the hospital, you're like, for real? Like I can just take this thing home? You're like, you had it, you raise it, and you're like, no, there's no like state law against this. Like, do you know how little I know about child rearing? Remember that moment? You bring the kid home, and as the kid comes out, I'll never forget my first week. I had a baby nurse help us. I'll never forget this. You know the baby nurses, they just come in, they have like those the blue tops with the teddy bears and the white teddy bears. And I come in and everyone's like, it's going to be so hard to be a dad. I come in, as I walk in, we like deposit with the baby nurse. And I sleep like 8 hours. I'm like, being a dad is a joke. This is easy stuff. I'll never forget this. And then like, I don't know, it was 1 week, so 8 days later I come in and she's in jeans. You ever get this feeling like you see somebody like totally out of your context and your whole world is thrown, like with your teacher? Like when you first find out your teacher's married. Remember that moment you first find out your teacher's married? You come in, you're like, who's that man? She's like, that's my husband. You're like, you're married? Don't you live under the desk? You ever have that moment? Don't you go upside down in the closet when we leave? Like, I don't understand how this works. Get that man away from you. You ever have that moment when you walk into the nurse, you're like, you have jeans, you wear real clothes? I thought we wear white pants, and you have those white shoes for the rest of your life. And she goes, it's been a pleasure. Nice knowing you. I'm like, nice knowing you. That sounds like you're leaving. That's insane. And my wife's like, nice knowing you too. I'm like, you guys are in, hold on, time out. And I took her off, like, we don't know how to, that's an actual thing, you know that. You don't know how to actually, she's like, we'll be fine. I'll never forget. I come down the stairs. And as I walk down the stairs, I was in my apartment in Queens. As I go, I look at my son, I'm like, how big is he? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's like a football. I can spike him. It's all good. Don't worry about it. And I walk downstairs, and as I walk down, because the kids, when they're little, they know how to get right to us. And as I close that door saying, like, this is nothing, I hear, and I'm like, what's it? It's a whimper. And I'm like, what do I do? She's like, no, I'm like, is there a button? She's like, I don't think there's a button. I'm like, there must be some button. There's no volume on this thing. I'm like, and we're going, I'm like, call your mom. She's like, no, call your mom. I'm like, call your mom. No, call your mom. I'm like, no, call moms. And I'll never forget that first. Remember that first week you bring your kids home? Remember that first week? I was saying that it's so simple when you first bring them home because you only have one objective. Keep them alive. That's it. There's no complicated get them into college stuff. It's just life or death. It's like, I want this thing to be breathing in 1 week from now. Whatever it's going to take for us to figure that out. All night sleep, nobody sleeps, and something happens along the way. That first week, you're ready to kill yourself because you haven't slept, and you don't even know concept of a diaper beforehand, and there's formula in places, and everyone's going crazy, and then something happens. 2-3 months later, you're sitting at a family event, and the kid starts to cry, and your mom pops up, and you go, I got this. And she goes, Charlie, for real? Like, can you take care of yourself? And I'm like, I got this. And inside you, there's some ability that was always there, but that only came out because there was nobody to call. Because that's how life works. Ability comes after responsibility. I'll tell you a quick story. I don't want to go too much longer, but I'll tell you a quick story, and then I'll tie it into this trip. I said it's over. Everyone came this morning to Asia. I said this story. I used to work for a company called RXR, and I used to give in RXR. I do these short videos for Asia Torah, so they got around the company. So I used to give afterwards. Somehow the people found out. They asked me if I could give a class about Judaism. Everyone had all these misconceptions. I said open to everybody. So every month, at the beginning of the month, the whole company got together, whoever wanted to come, and they asked all these questions. It was great, my pleasure. If I can answer, wonderful. So one time we had this new associate that came in. He was an analyst, financial analyst, just a few years ago. 6'3", 250 pounds, cut like an ox. His name was Josh. He's that front row. And I'm sitting there, and he is just eating it up. Whatever I say, he's like, yes, he's totally into it. So it's over, and he comes up to me and goes, Charlie, I want to thank you for that. I said, pleasure, Josh. Thank you for coming. He goes, listen, and I can see he's uncomfortable. He goes, well, I just wanted to know if I could, maybe I can come back. I said, of course you can come back. He goes, well, I didn't want to say this beforehand. It was you started already, but I'm not Jewish. I said, I know. He goes, how do you know? I said, you're 6'3". You know what I'm saying? You're 250. You know what I'm saying? Like, God doesn't build us like that. We're never on the field. Like, we may represent the guys on the field. We worked out the contract. We built the stadium. We got the sponsorship deals, but we never end up in the ring. That's not our people. So he says to me, is that okay? I go, of course it's okay. So he comes back the next week, and the part of the conversation was a moment in your life where you were inspired when you were in high school. So he goes, do you mind if I'm like, yeah, you're 6'3", you know what I'm saying? Like, you want to give the class? It's all good. So he tells me this story. And this story really, I said this morning, for those who heard it, I apologize. This real story really resonated with me. He says, I grew up in Texas. Now, Texas has one religion. What religion is that? Football. That's it. Football. He goes, I was born 6'3". I was like 1 year old, 2 years old. When I was 3, I was 6'3". He goes, when you're 6'3" in like 7th grade and you're living in Texas, you are the Messiah. You are the second coming. That's how it works. He goes, I walked into high school and the coaches were drooling. He goes, but I was a really poor football player. He goes, I just was a wimp on the line. Like, I just didn't have that killer instinct. He goes, and my coach was constantly trying to figure out ways to inspire me and to get me to be the player that I could be. And nothing ever stuck until this one day. I'm already like going crazy. He goes, I show up to practice, and someone had sent my coach a clip of a video. There's a movie someone told me about that actually is true. There's a movie out there where a coach tried to inspire his players, and this is what he did. And my coach saw it, and he tried it on me. And I got to practice, and at practice he goes, Josh, come here. He goes, he came. He goes, sit in the goal line. He goes into the end zone, and he goes, you think you can give me a death crawl? Death crawls are when you crawl, but your arms and your elbows and your knees can't touch the floor. He goes, can you give me a death crawl? He goes, they did it in practice. He goes, I can give you a death crawl. He goes, how far can you go? He goes, I can go to the 20. He goes, you go to the 20? He goes, yeah. He goes, you have my word you go to the 20? He goes, I got my word. He goes, you'll get to that 20. He goes, coach, he goes, I want you to tell me on your word you're going to hit the 20. He goes, coach, I'm going to hit the 20. He goes, great, let's go. And he goes, I get down on all fours, and he calls, he goes, Billy. Billy's the short kid, probably like the Jewish kid on the team. He goes, Billy, come here. He goes, what's the matter, coach? He goes, why don't you get on Josh's back? He goes, no, coach. I said to the 20. I didn't know. He goes, you promised me to the 20. He goes, all right, fine. I can do it. goes, one more thing. He goes, how many more things can I do? And he reaches into his pocket and he pulls out a handkerchief and he blindfolds me. And he gets down on all fours. He goes, you ready, Josh? He goes, I'm ready. Everyone gets around. They start cheering. And they're going, Josh, 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 Josh. And he starts off with the 20. And at the end zone, he starts going. And he goes, and I'm going, and I'm going, and I'm going, and I'm going. And I'm at the 10. And the coach goes to me, great job, Josh. You're at the 5. Great job, Josh, the 5. And he goes, the 5? I thought, let's go forever. And he's going, and he's at the 20. And he goes, great job, Josh. You're at the 10. And he's going, I've been going for so long. You ever get the feeling, by the way, when you work out, by the way, that time slows down? You know what I'm talking about? You're on the treadmill, and you're jogging for 45 minutes, and you're like, wow, this is great. You're like, 18 seconds? You ever have that? You're like, time slows down in space and on treadmills. You know what I'm saying? He goes, I don't know. I feel like I've been going on forever. And he's going, and he's going, and he's going, and it's the 30. And the coach goes, you're doing great, Josh. You're at the 15. You're a trash guy. You're at the 15. And he's going, he goes, I got nothing left, coach. He goes, you told me you had my word. He goes, you negotiate with your body for more because you gave me your word. He goes, I got nothing. And he goes, I'm spitting, and I'm crying. And he goes, you give me 5. And he's at the 40. He goes, yeah, I'm not there. He goes, how can I not be there? He goes, you give me 5 more feet, 5 more steps. And he's going, and he's going, and he's going. And he collapses at the 50. And he rolls over, he says, and he unhooks his handkerchief. He goes, and I looked up into heaven, and I felt like the biggest failure. He goes, I couldn't even get to the 20. And with tears in my eyes, I said, Coach, I am so sorry. I gave you my word, and I couldn't even get to the 20. And the coach says to me, turn around, Josh. You're on the 5th day. He goes, when I got up, he looked at me and said, your problem is that you think that you're a person that goes to the 20. You're a person that goes to the 50. And when you see your game as that you belong at the 50, when you hit the line at the 20, your sights are here. No one's handing you the 50. It's here. And when you think you're at the 50, and you take responsibility to get there, you know what happens? You negotiate with your body, and you find stuff that's inside that you never knew existed before. The essence of greatness, the essence of spirituality is the recognition that what I have inside me is so much greater for me. It's not for him. We don't do things for him. Anything we do for him is only him enabling us to do it for us. My kid doesn't do math for me. My kid does math for me because I'm trying to do it for him. The essence of spirituality is the recognition that what I have inside is so much more than I could ever experience, and the only way it comes out, the only way that power source that's inside me comes out is when I look at my life and say, I can go to the 50. I was dropping at the 20. I can go to the 50. I can be this husband. It's hard. Because when I come home, it should be about me because I had a hard day. But my wife needs it to be about her because she had a tough day too. I can be this wife. My husband's going through a lot. I can be this father. My kids need a little more. And they're not ending up the way I want them to end up. But you know what? I remember growing up. I wasn't exactly what my parents wanted either. God knows what he's doing. I can be this spouse. I can be this community. I can be this guy at work. I don't need them to tell me. I can deliver value for my customers in a way that'll blow. I can be this person. I've never been it before. But I'm taking responsibility to be the person that's inside me. And when we live this way, when we look at our lives and we live at the 20, but we see the 50, sometimes it kills and sometimes it hurts. But at our core, you know what we feel? Good or bad, up and down, whether we end up with our face in the mud or up in the sky, we feel truly great. Because greatness is not what they tell us, and it's not the plaques on the walls. Greatness is when I go to bed at night and I know that it hurt. And I'll tell you one story and then I'm done. I told you a story, then I'm done, but I'll tell you one more and I'm really done. Years ago, and this is my last one, years ago, I spent a lot of time trying to work out, and after a while of really trying to work out a lot, I hit like a wall. You know, when you first work out, you just go walk in the gym and you lose weight. You know what I'm saying? You look at the weights and like all of a sudden you start losing weight. Then after a while, I wasn't seeing any definition. I was really going to the gym a lot, 4 or 5 days a week, and I wasn't really seeing a lot of definition. Someone says, why don't you get a personal trainer? I'm like, I'm not getting a personal trainer. Like, I'm a man. I'm not going to admit a need. So it was during the downtime of the real estate industry, and I was working for this real estate company, and I was in charge of the intern program. And I'm looking at these resumes, one after the other, after the other, after the other, the exact same resumes. And on the bottom of the resumes, there was like a hobby section. And on the bottom of the resumes, it said, hobbies, personal trainer. And I'm going, what have we here? I'm about to get my trainer, having to get my trainer. That is the ultimate Jew move. I love that. So I called in my guy. He sits in front of me. I said, tell me about your experience. He goes, well, I did this clinic and that clinic. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. Tell me about the training experience. He's like, well, I was part of a team that trained the Mr. Olympic athlete. I'm like, hired. He's like, for the law job? I'm like, yeah. Can you start tomorrow? He's like, nah, I'm still in school. I'm like, okay, tell me when you can start. So he comes in, and I couldn't have been creepier. Like, I couldn't have messed this up. I couldn't have been weirder about this. He shows up. He's the first day. He's like, so let me do, so I'm like, here's the file. Oh, yeah, file. Here, we're going to buy a building. He leaves my office. He didn't even sit down at his desk the first day. He looks up, and I'm at the door. I'm like, hey. He's like, hi. I'm like, so you enjoying yourself? He's like, I just was in your office a second ago. I'm like, listen, I was just thinking, this just popped into my head. I mean, I don't know why I thought this, but on the way over here from my office to your office, I had this crazy thought. What are you doing every single day at 12 o'clock? He goes, where do you need me? I'm like, in the gym. He's like, you got it. I'm like, yes. So I go down to the gym. He shows up at 12. I'm already in a full sweat because we had a gym in the building. So he goes, all right, tell me what you do. I'm like, show you what I do. You see the way, all of it. I do it all. He goes, all right, tough guy. And the way I used to work out, and please don't laugh at me, I used to literally go sit down, and every gym has like the same 4 machines, you know what I'm talking about? The kicking machine, the back kicking machine, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's it. It's like all you got. I just sat down whatever someone else sat down and just did more than what they did. So I sit down, they did like 10, I'm like 12. So he's literally holding back laughter. I'm like, what's so funny, Mr. Ex-intern? I didn't know that I was a clown as well as your boss. So he goes, of course you're not seeing any definition. I said, what are you talking about? I'm here 5 days a week. He's like, you're not even working out. Like, you're doing aerobics for your arms. I said, what do you mean? I'm doing the whole thing. He says to me, let me explain to you how working out works. He goes, when you sit down to do a set, anyone who works out, you know what I'm talking about. When you sit down to do a set, he goes, it doesn't matter how many you do, how much weight you have, because every weight is personal. He goes, you have one standard that we use when we train people. The last 3 have to kill. When you're sitting there, if you get those last 3 up, you didn't rip. Every one of our muscles has microfibers. And every those microfibers, in order for them to grow, they have to rip, and then with protein and rest, they grow stronger. Because you go through the motions, unless you rip, it ain't going. I said, well, how do you know? He goes, that's the greatness and the mystery of working out. No one before you and no one after you is you. It's you and your body. Your last 3 have to kill. And if they kill, you ripped. And if you ripped, you'll grow. That's greatness. Greatness is when we go through our lives and we go, this is going to kill. This phone call to my family member that I haven't spoken to in 5 years is going to kill. Doing this thing that I've never done before is going to kill. I know it's right, but it's so hard. And when the last 3 kill, because it's the right thing that you think to do, what happens is you rip. And then you grow and you rip. And God tells Adam, listen, stuff's going to get hard. When you stare at your garden and say, it's on my back. When you stand at the 20 and see the 50. And when you look at your lives and go, whatever's going on, ups and downs, it doesn't matter what the guy next to me has or the guy next to me has. It's my life. This is my circumstances. And all I got to worry about is making sure that I rip. Then we grow, grow, and grow. What was great about the trip, honestly, and why I loved it, was each and every one of us is totally different. And you get a week. I don't remember a time in my life where I had a week where I got to just try to get inside. I'm so busy. We are all so busy. When you have 1 week to experience your homeland, and you get to see things and have conversations and have experiences, up Masada in the morning, down to the Dead Sea, sitting there underneath the beautiful sky, just floating around with guys you just met and mud all over yourself. Wineries in the Galil, Friday night dancing at the Kotel with soldiers, experiencing the city of David. rappelling off mountaintops, driving ATVs, getting drunk way too many times than you want to tell people, but because it's okay, because it's just guys. When you have the experience, you know what ends up happening? Each and every one of us, together and individually, we start to see the 50. You start to see the 50 of who I really am, because I'm too busy sometimes to see the true me. Not the me that I'm supposed to be, the me that I am. You start to see that 50. You start to build a little bit more of that courage to rip. And you do it together as a team, and you do it together with brothers. And so my blessing to everybody is that no matter where we go in life, we remember the responsibility is what leads to ability. That we all belong in the 50 and not the 20, and that when we rip, we grow. And for those that have opportunity with God's help, I hope to be on the trip come June and then November. And if so, it would be amazing to spend the time together up and all over Israel. And without that, we may all of us live a life of true greatness. Thank you so much.